Again, it's the Afro beer chick. Thank you for listening. You might catch her at the brewery. You can skip the wine, drinking her way through life, one awesome beer at a time. I know you will like this. Gotta do it like that. Keep it entertaining. When she on the podcast, all my beer sippers, keep it right here. You already know this chick talks beer. Afro beer chick. Let's go. Woo. Hey.
All right, and we're live, baby. Oh my God. Thank you guys for joining me for another episode of This Chick Talks Beer. Tonight, I have two amazing women in the beer industry. I have Alisa Bowens-Mercado of Witham Brewing and Briana Brake of Space Way Brewing down in Rocky Mountain, North Carolina. See, I got it right this time.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers to you. Cheers.
Thank you, ladies, for joining me. Oh, this y'all don't know how much I've been wanting to do this for so long, but I thank you guys for joining me for this episode of Black Women Own Breweries Too. Now, I don't know why.
Glad to be here.
But yeah. Breweries. With you guys. So, Briana, come on, tell us about yourself. Tell us about Spaceway. Let's get into it.
Okay. Briana Brake. I am the founder, brewer at Space Way Brewing Company. I've been making beer for about 8 years now. Professionally since November 2018. Spaceway officially launched. And so I love making beer. I love beer. I love talking about beer. I love trying new beers. I love thinking about beer, planning beers, just all things beer. So when you reached out, I was like, yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah. Somebody that actually wants to listen to me talk about beer. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, Lisa, what about you? Introduce yourself.
So, Alisa Bowens-Mercado here, aka Lady Lager. I am the owner, CEO, founder, and brewmaster at Rhythm Brewing Company here in Connecticut, the state's first African-American and African-American female-owned brewery here. And it's just so amazing to see this diversity all across this panel and women doing their thing and women of color. And thank you so much, Afro Beer Chick, for what you do for us, because you really do get our stories out, and you're a constant in the beer industry. So it is amazing. So we're right here in Connecticut, the home of New England IPAs, and we broke out into the industry and had the audacity to make lagers. Yes, we broke out into the industry. We have the cojones to come out in the middle of New England and come out with a product. So Rhythm Brewing, we're known, for our unfiltered lagers here in New England, and we're having a great time with it. So yeah, to like Bree said, to come on here and be able to talk beer and it's just amazing. And to be next to like Bree and I mean, my mentor Celeste, come on, the one and only, just love. Oh my God. And I'll tell you that story later. When I first met her, it was like I was a fan, like meeting the rock star that you like. And, I probably did everything except ask her for like an autograph. Yeah, I'm just like, I'm not going to ask for an autograph, but we'll talk about that later. But thank you so much for allowing us to just girl chat and, women that are brewing.
Most definitely. I'm going to tell you this, like when I started ABC back in 2017, my first task was to find Black-owned breweries. And Celeste's Brewery was the first one to pop up. My mouth literally hit the floor. I'm like, whoa, a sister owns a brewery?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, the same reaction.
Right up there with Jared.
My same reaction. I was like, what? I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not the only Black woman that drinks and wants to make craft beer.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
My mind was blown. I was so excited when I found out Celeste exists. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then when I finally got around the house. Yeah. When I finally got the beer, that was wow.
So I know, I've had Rhythms beer. You know, matter of fact, it's so funny because I hit up Alisa. You know what? My fridge needs some beer.
I was like, well, listen, your fridge needs some rhythm. I was like, thank you. Our babies.
I love your lagers. They're very crisp. They're clean. They're very bold in flavor. I mean, that's like we have some really good lagers here in Chicago, but it's like I love Dovetail. I love Metropolitan, but I also love Rhythms lager. So I try to keep that in the fridge. Briana, I haven't had a chance to have your beer yet, but I'm going to get there because I have family down in North Carolina. Keep saying, hey, when are you coming down here to see us? I'm like, yeah, because I have a whole bunch of I want to.
Yeah, please hit me up. Hit me up when you do. Let me know.
So, okay, so
totally.
Let me ask this: what made you go and get the cojones to say, you know what? I know y'all. This, we're good for New England's over here, but forget this. I'm about to do a lager.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you this. So the story kind of spans back into the 1970s, where my grandmothers drank Miller High Life. So they just always had those little ponies of Miller, like the champagne, a beer. And I just, when I got old enough to sip, I just had that taste on my palate. And so I knew when I got into the beer industry, I wasn't doing the norm, like what everybody else was doing. I'm like, I'm going to make a beer that I can actually consume. So I knew right from the beginning that it was going to be a lager, but in craft beer, because lagers get a bad rap. And they're like, oh, they're watered down. They taste like piss. I mean, you hear it. There's things that people say about lagers, but those are the bigger box brand lagers. And I'm like, my lager's not going to taste like any of that. So what did we have to do? We had to come up with a recipe and design a recipe that was going to be a lager, but it was flavorful and that you can taste. And it was just light enough, but it still had that, okay, this is a lager, but I'm getting my money's worth on my palate. And so that's what we did. People said we were crazy. They're like, you're doing a lager in the middle of New England. I'm like, dude, you guys are literally running to the IPA fire. I'm getting out of it. I'm like, let's, give the palate, a break, especially here in Connecticut. There was a lane that was wide open. So my grandmothers who drank lagers and myself who just grew up, with the palate of lagers on the tongue, it was a no-brainer that we were going to do, a lager. But I'm going to tell you, my friends, everybody, they make some of the best IPAs in the world. Brie, I mean, come on. I mean, there are IPAs out there that are incredible. I just knew that I knew here in Connecticut that we needed to change up the demographics here of the taste of the palate for lagers, so that we went for it.
Oh wow, that is so dope. So Briana, tell me, what made you say, you know what, I'm a Black woman who likes to drink beer, but now it's time for me to start brewing it? What made you go and start down this path?
When I started home brewing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Come on. Give us all that tea.
I started out, I was making ginger beer at home. I had gotten laid off from my tech company in Research Triangle, and so I had so much free time. So I was like, okay, well, what can I do while I'm looking for work? So I started making ginger beer at home, and that was, it was good. And then I realized, well, you can make actual beer. Like I had been going to all the craft breweries and stuff around. I was in Durham at the time, or maybe Cary. Anyway, I was going to all these new craft breweries that were popping up around North Carolina, and I was like, this is cool. I like the culture around it. There's something about this, and then I realized I could make it at home, so I started doing it, and I got obsessed with it, and I got really passionate about it. And I was I was making beer for a couple of years, just home brewing, and then I went to law school.
Wow.
I was in law school and like a year or two in and realized I don't want to be a lawyer. So I'm like, okay, I got to make a decision like right now. But and I'm thinking like my beer is getting good. Like it's better than some of the stuff I'm tasting at these breweries out here. And then I'm like, well, am I crazy? Because I don't ever see anybody that looks like me at these breweries. I'm the only one in there, in the corner with my beer. And I don't see anybody that looks like me working there. But I make beer better than what these guys are making. So then I started doing research and I found an article about Celeste and saw that she was from North Carolina. So I'm just like, going around telling all my friends, this chick, she's from and then so my homegirl runs a nonprofit, and she was doing a Shark Tank type pitch thing for students at Shaw University up in Raleigh. Turns out Celeste went to Shaw University. Yes, Celeste went to Shaw University. So I'm like, I'm telling her, she was like, I'm going to ask her to be on this panel. This lady you're telling me about, because she went here. And I'm like, she don't have time for you. Like, she don't have time for us.
You're like that. It's Celeste. She's not going to answer.
Yeah, now I know. Now I know. But then I was like, I wasn't thinking anything was gonna come of it. So like a month later, my homegirl hits me up and she's like, "Yo, get your ass out here. She's here." And I hightailed it to Raleigh, met Celeste. We hit it off immediately, and she was at my house like a day or two later, helping me make beer. And so from that, I realized awesome. I'm not crazy. This is something. This makes sense. You can do this. So
let's come to your house and help you make the beer. Man, that's dope.
Yeah, that was
fun. That is. Oh my God, were you like? I would have been like, oh, like okay, all hail the queen. All right, she's.
That's how it was at first. But then got to know her, and she's so down to earth. It was just like
down to earth. Yes.
Yeah. So it was like meeting a family member or something.
Yeah. Oh,
I think that's one thing I do love about our community is the fact that I haven't run into anybody with egos. And everybody that I come across has always been so open and so down to earth and willing to help or willing to share. And I always tell people, like, in order to grow your network, you have to grow in order to grow your net worth, you have to grow your network. And that's
amen.
So I am so happy to hear like stories like this. Like Celeste was like, sure, I'll come help you, and came to your house. Because again, like I said, my two top are Garrett Oliver and Celeste.
And you know what? They are so
Black people in beer.
Yeah, they are so down to earth. It's funny because, like, in my first Celeste encounter, which was amazing, we were at Fresh Fest. And so I'm like, there she is. And my husband's like, all right, come on, let me bring you over to meet her. So we go over. He said we were like two 13-year-olds in the schoolyard. And we were like, she was like, I've read about you. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, you're my mentor, my idol. And we just we hugged it out, and it was just amazing. And we took selfies, and it was incredible. So, and you're right, beyond down to earth, and you are the industry. There's no egos. Everybody wants the best for everybody in this. I think we're all doing what we can, do our part to diversify and have total inclusion in an industry that it's really wasn't represented by us. But now, I mean, we've got a stronghold. So I'm excited. Oh, and Garrett, incredible. I hosted
I haven't met him yet.
It's amazing. He is just amazing. And I had the honor to do a beer festival with him. And we actually hosted the room. And I believe I was either interviewing him or he was interviewing me. But before you know it, we're playing the djembe. And I went and got my clave because of my dancing and all of that stuff. And he's just so cool. So Garrett Garrett and Celeste, God bless you guys. Thank you for opening doors. Love you. Yeah. So that's what it's all about.
I love
we have to lead by example.
Like opening doors, and that's the key thing. So it's like just like these two set the precedent, and here you come, and here you are being the first Black woman in Connecticut. You're setting the precedent, and then here you are, in the South, Briana, with your brewery. So it's like, okay, it's trying to create a path for the next generation, and that's I think that's the biggest key. So what has been the biggest challenge for you ladies opening up your breweries?
Biggest challenge for me has been capital. getting the funds, you know, and to do this, because you know my background is, my undergrad degree is computer science, and then I went to law school for a little bit. So everybody's looking at me like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like, you know, you're trying to get loans, you're trying to get investors, and I'm a woman, and I'm a Black woman, and coming into this industry, and people are like, "Man, that's cute, but that's cute." You know, that's
right. It's cute, but try to get some money, right?
Right, right.
Startup. So
right, it's like, so you need some money. It's like, oh, okay.
So that,
I mean, and what
that's been the biggest challenge.
Go out.
What about you?
Yeah, and Bree is absolutely right. You know, going to a bank was probably not an option. You know, being of what industry I was trying to get into. But you know, going to an angel investor, I just didn't take no for an answer, because it was like, the thing was, why should I invest in, there's 30 million beers around the country. And I told my investor, love him to death, but I said, listen, let me prove you completely wrong. And he said, all right, young lady, go and prove me completely wrong. And 2.5 years later, there's, you know, he goes, I can't even believe this, because he was like, what is going to make you different than anybody else that is out on the show? You can't really explain it, but you know that you have the passion, and you have the fire, and you have the tenacity to just get out there and keep making it happen. And you can I could only show him by my actions. And within 6 months, less than 6 months, he figured it out. He's like, okay, she's not playing. So it became, but in the beginning, Bree will tell you, it's not easy, because no one wants to invest in an industry that they think is oversaturated anyway. And then you're a Black female getting into this white male dominated space, then they're like, oh no, you know, why? So, you know, it was, but it's been a blessing though.
Yeah, how do you handle the whys? You know what I'm saying? I think for me, it's like, I think we get to the point where we have to have the thick skin, because I've gone into some breweries and I've gotten some side eye. But I can only imagine, like, first of all, let me say this. You guys have my utmost respect, because brewing, I know, is hard, and I don't have that type of talent, but I'll drink whatever you brew. So for you guys, kudos to you all. Because I did look, at one time I did want to, I wanted to try home brewing. So I went and looked up the equipment. I was like, never mind. It's just cheaper for me to just buy the beer already made.
It's work. It's work. Yeah.
So I can't
you got to come and brew with us.
You guys had to raise.
Yeah. Come brew with us.
Okay.
Yeah,
you know what?
honestly,
I'll do it too. Don't kick me out your brewery, because I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a bad brewer. Like, look, because I want to sit there and drink beer. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm gonna put you to work. You drink a beer, but you gonna be working.
Oh my God!
Yeah, listen. Yeah. Bree will tell
God.
you, listen, when you get there, brew days usually start around sometimes 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., depending on, what you're brewing, the batch size. And then it's like, but once you got to get into that flow, because you do not want to mess up the first couple of processes of your brew. And then you can kind of, crack open a beer at an appropriate hour, which is maybe like 10 a.m. or, 11, and keep it moving.
Yeah.
So.
But it's like she said, I mean, you might start at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and if everything goes smoothly, you might be done about 3, but
maybe
something can go wrong.
Yep.
You'll be in there for I've had several 16-hour days.
Oh wow.
So, that was.
So Bree, I don't want to ask you, being down there, especially in North Carolina. One of my first interviews was with L.A. McCrae of Black Sterling, and she was just telling me some of the, oh my God, some of her barriers that she had, when she tried to start her brewery. Did you face some of the same instances of racism down there opening up in the South?
No, not as much. Not like she got it. Because the town that she was in, that area is known for that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So it was her being, a black woman in that area trying to do that I completely see why she got. I mean, I understand that happening there, but I haven't really gotten a lot of that stuff in like here in Rocky Mount. Every now and then, people come in, like customers come in and say something stupid, or I mean, in general, just being a woman and a black woman in this industry, sometimes like people just say dumb stuff, but it's not.
Yeah.
It hasn't been anything that blatant like what LA experienced.
Oh wow! Have you experienced anything, Alisa, like along those lines?
In the beginning, there's some people that are happy that you're in the space, and then there's some that are not, because then it they believe it like kind of emasculates them. It's like, okay, what is this black woman doing in this space, and what is she doing that we're not doing? And so it becomes one of those, because I contract brew, so we have a different setup. So when I go and brew, I have to go. I'm going to a facility where I do my contract, brewing. But I'm taking my recipes with me. I'm taking my brew schedules, and I'm working with the brewers at that location. But before I got to the contract brewing facility that I'm at now, I dealt with some assholes in the industry. Let's just keep it real. They didn't. You come in, people, they're excited because this is something different in New England. It's something different in Connecticut. And some people view that as a threat. Like, who does she think she is? And you know what you do? You just look at them and you weed them out and you keep it moving. And you just, you know what? Because my money, I don't have to pay you to be aggravated. I can go brew my beer someplace else. So now we're comfortable, where we are. But of course, you get that, because you could tell that they really don't either want you in the space, or it questions of, why is she getting all of this attention?
How did you get there?
How'd you get there? Why are the news? Why is everywhere she goes there's news and there's media and there's a reporter and there's it's because we should be wanting to tell this story. We should want to diversify. It's not about me. It's about just collectively opening up doors and an industry. And some people are just too ignorant to get that. So yes, of course, I have, dealt with it. But you know what? I look at them and I keep it moving. I go take my recipes and I'm on to the next phase. I'm like, bye.
I think that's one of our greatest strengths, is that we have to learn to start. We have to have that thick skin, because sometimes, as much as I love being a black woman, is sometimes exhausting, because we seem like we're fighting battles nonstop, constantly, and it's always targeting us. So it was like, man, do you ever get a break? And it's like, no, you don't. So I can imagine taking on that in the brewing industry as being female, not only female brewers, but black women brewers. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
There
was an instance.
I was gonna say, before I came out to Rocky Mountain and started, doing this professionally, I was looking to try to get a job at one of the breweries around, town, just to kind of hone my skills and make sure I knew what I was doing before I tried to go and, do my own thing. And nobody would hire me.
Really?
Yeah, wow. I didn't. I got one. When people ask, they ask the question of, can you lift 50 pounds or something like that? So I'm like, no, you're not asking these dudes this question. So
right.
Yeah, just little stuff like that. But I was like, well, it just motivated me more. Say, well, screw you guys. I'll take my ball and go build my own basketball court.
I love that.
There you go.
I love that.
I love that.
Go create your own table.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Yeah. Create listen, I will build the table. I'll build the table. I'll build the table and pull up some seats. And if it's there's not enough seats, then I'll build seats to pull up to that table that we build. Exactly. Because that's what it's, that's what it's about. We have to look out for each other in the industry, because there are things that we are going to go through and that we have experienced that someone else is absolutely not going to go through. So we just, we have to be mindful. And I think we have to take a lot, I will tell you, because we don't want to get that, because there's a couple of instances where I probably could have taken some logs and like literally shot them across the brewery. And I had to say, Alisa, we're not going to do that, because you know what? We have to make sure that the people coming after us and with us, we don't want that to be an excuse for them not to work with us. So I've had to bite my tongue a lot, and it's okay. It's it was all right. It wasn't okay, but guess what? I knew it was for take one for the team, take one for why we are on this panel right now and we're talking about this, so that we can move forward.
That's what I think about the stuff that our ancestors went through for me to get to where I am. And,
yeah,
stuff that they put up with, like, this is some little asshole, making a funny face or saying something under his breath or whatever. That's nothing. I grew up with that anyway. Like,
right.
So,
right. So you're
I found that, all that little stuff, like some of it doesn't even register.
You know what I love about this whole idea is
like it's so typical, it's so common. It's just like, of course he said that, or of course he feels that way, and I don't even think about it.
Don't even entertain it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have time for that. I gotta go make a beer.
Right.
What I love about all of this is the fact that some people tend to overlook the fact that Black women actually started the brewing process. It started with us, with the Mesopotamians, Nkazi.
It did.
And now here it is, where centuries later, we're starting to take this industry back over. So my question to you both is, what advice would you give the next generation of Black women brewers or brewery owners?
Keep making beer, and don't stop making beer. Don't stop refining your craft, keep perfecting it. I mean,
absolutely.
Like every time, get your recipes up, keep doing them, make them better every time, and don't stop. Like, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do this or you're crazy. You're not crazy. You just really like beer.
Yeah, you gotta have the ball. You gotta have the cojones, as Alisa said.
Yeah.
Dare to be different.
No, you really do. Yes, dare to be different. No, completely dare to be different. And you know what? We started it, and we should finish it. Okay, so we start. Everything came back. Everything, because everything, we know where everything has started. The motherland. We've had the ideas, and people have taken it and taken it over and said it to be their own. But if we know that, if we have the mindset to know that this is within, is within us, we have the greatness to continue to make great beer, and that our ancestors and the history goes so back and it's so deep. Don't let off the gas. Keep moving. Right. And you're right. Know the industry. Keep your recipe designs and get creative, and know that there's a space. I always say, when I walk into a room and I'm the only one that looks like everybody else in the room, that's when you know you're in the perfect either industry or the perfect space, because that means that there is a lot more voices that need to be heard. So that's my advice. Go out there, and the time really is now. I mean, if we could learn nothing, y'all, in 2020, we need to pivot. We need different mindsets, because the time really is now. So, go for it. And I like Bree, I know we're here as mentors. I know we look up to, our Celeste and our Garrett, and those were our mentors. And so hopefully, your audience, people can really, reach out to us to continue that mantle that Celeste and Garrett have lit for us. So,
and see what what you guys don't understand, realize that you're also someone else's mentor. Is the fact that you guys, took on such a bold task and say, we're not just going to brew beer, we're going to own breweries. This is what we're doing. So it's like you've already started to pave the way. So that's why I wanted to do this show, because of the fact that it's like we're always often overlooked. With 8,000 breweries in the United States, and it's already less than 1% owned by Black by us, period. But even less than that owned by Black women.
Right.
So it was like, well, now it's like, okay, what's next and who's next? How can we, help the next generation to pivot, beyond us so it can keep growing,
Yeah, and I'm going to piggyback off of that. I want to tell you, as soon as I read about, Celeste and that there were actual Black folks and there were Black women brewing beer, once I dived into the economics of it, game over. It was not even, if I even had a question in my brain, if I was going to move forward in the beer industry, once I did the economics of it, because anything doing 114 billion annually, and like you mentioned, it's less than 0.1% of an 114 billion. Let's wrap our heads around that. They didn't say million, they said billion, and that's annually. That's not throughout 10 years or a decade. There was something seriously wrong with that picture. And I said, if I'm going to consume it, I'm going to own it. I'm consuming stuff that I own now. And I think that is really the conversation here, is that it's a large industry and we need to be represented.
Right.
And that number, and that 114 billion.
Then, and the narrative, when I started doing my research about why, that they were telling themselves about why Black people don't drink craft beer, and that Black people don't drink craft beer, and I'm like, you just don't know what you're talking about. So somebody like me needs to come here and show you, because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to market to us. You don't know how to, and and all you're trying to do is learn. You keep talking about this diversity and all this stuff. All you're trying to do is figure out how to get our dollars. You're not trying to figure out how to help us grow in this industry, and how to help us create ownership in our community, so that this industry could actually be more diverse and do, all this stuff that you're talking about. They say they want inclusion, and I don't want inclusion. I want ownership. I want to drive. Yeah.
You know what? It's so funny because
cheers to that.
Cheers to that. So like last year, for pre-COVID, I was getting hit with requests, for, beer fest, which I love a good beer fest. But I got to the point, like when they would send me the press kit, I'm like, nope, I'm not going to do it, because there is no one in this picture, in any of these pictures, that look like me. And what's so sad about it, these were beer fests that I actually attended, and I seen Black people there. And I had to call them out. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. I was at this beer fest. I know, because I got all kind of selfies and all kind of pictures, and there was other Black people there. But however, when you send me this press, it doesn't reflect any of that. I'm not asking to be in any of the pictures, but damn, at least give me a true representation of who's there. Because right now, I'm seeing a lot of people that don't look like me at all. And I know it was more than two of us there.
Right. Yeah. Right. And there were a lot of beer festivals this year. There are some that really reached out, that they really want to make a difference. So it's like sitting on panels, but those are the people in the industry that are hosting these beer festivals that literally are about really opening this D&I, kind of door. And that's important. You can't just talk about it, because people keep throwing out this diversity and inclusion. Okay. All right. Let me see where you're talking about it. Now let's see what you're doing. It's accountability in 2021 for us. And I think it has to, because people can run on this. All right. We got to diversify and include. And okay, that is great. But where I want to see it. This needs to be tangible, because we just can't talk about it. We have to start being about it. And accountability is one of my words for 2021. Right.
Yeah, I definitely agree, because I've been asked to sit on more diversity and inclusion panels, and I turned them down. It's like, what, I'm tired of talking. What for me is breweries with the most money, the ones, the higher ups. Like, what needs to be done. If you can afford to have a whole department to be diversified, then guess what? What needs to be done in the community. So it's time to, stop talking about it and to make that change. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
It's about accountability for 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been talking too much, and we talk and, lose our voices, and we keep talking, and then, but it's ironic because I had a in-depth conversation, a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about just exactly what you mentioned. The people up there know what they have to do. There's a disconnect where we need to, like, we need that national exposure. There are people in there that will sink the money into what they're doing for their D&I, but they have to connect with the people that are making what we're doing, the people that are owning the breweries. There's that disconnect. Right. So it's a couple of tiers that there are, but we need to really solidify that. So there's more conversations that need to be had.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because I think for me, I'm at the point where I'm tired of our social injustices, our culture, our oppression, our color is being used as a trend. I don't know if you guys see that or not.
No, yeah, our resiliency.
Yeah,
it's marketable.
It's a trend. Like, it's like, are you really taking it seriously, or are you just
I'm tired of being resilient.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
and this should be a trend.
Right. It should be a trend. And I've seen the big example of that. I don't know if I should mention this, but I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and do it anyway. Like today, Marcus Baskerville, the whole Black is Beautiful movement. So there was a brewery, he's been asking, how can you guys, send in, whoever you donated to. There was one brewery that basically shut him down, saying, I don't basically have to show you, and then blocked him. Like, how do you tell the creator of the initiative that you participated in that you don't have to
easily, because that's the type of shit you've been doing your whole life. That's how they do.
Right. So it's like, okay, you use our social injustice to make a profit, but now it's basically like saying, like, fuck you at this point. And I'm tired of that.
It was like they wanted to.
Yep.
Oh yeah. No, because it's crazy how. Yeah, we knew the brewers that were getting into it for all the right reasons, and then we knew the brewers that were like, they just want some airtime and some street cred, but nobody was really buying. I think the intentions of most of the breweries around the country were good and wonderful, and those are the ones that are actually letting where their money went. Like, I can tell you exactly where our dollars went, to the Boys and Girls Club and higher education. But if somebody's telling you, I don't have to show you, then it's just
they didn't donate shit. They stole that money. That's just, I guess it's just so, like you said, every time you turn around, it's so much that we are fighting for, and then we have to fight against. And it's like, I almost hate to ask, like, damn, what's next? Because something is right around the corner. It's always something.
But something. But you know what? But right now, I think honestly, the time really is now, ladies. While we're all on this panel, if we're not woke now, that's never ever going to happen, and that's for just the people in any industry. We have to take this moment, and we have to do what we do. And see, I knew there was a pandemic before there was a pandemic, because we live as people of color, live like we done had the pandemic for decades. Back to my grandmamas, back to everybody else. We've been living, we've been in this struggle. So when you say, like you said, Bree, resilience, it's resilience. But right now, it really is about just, getting down there and making sure that these stories are told. And we want answers. We want, that same level of whatever they're calling it now, that field, we deserve that. We really do deserve that. We're always working 20 times as hard and always getting the same promises that we've been getting for 50, 60, 70 years. And that's not happened. That's not working for us, a lot of us anymore. So
I think that's why I'm such a loudmouth. I think that's why I have such a big ass mouth.
Hey, we need the loudmouths. Yes.
I get to the point where I just don't give a damn. Like, look, I'm gonna say it. I don't care who I piss off. It is what it is. Like, because our voices need to be heard, because we set so much in silence and our oppression. It's like, man, like, look, at this point, I'm tired of y'all bullshit. I'm calling people out. I don't care what it is, what it is. So yeah, we need to be. You know what? For me, I think it's at the point where we need to kind of recreate Black Wall Street. We need to kind of recreate Tulsa, that vibe that people. People say, "Oh, why are you always pushing Black on?" Why not? Why not? Why should we
yeah,
push
Right.
We've been pushing everything else on for forever, and that's why.
But when we say Black, it's a problem.
Dollars.
When you have Koreatown, you have Chinatown, but you have the Black Wall Street area, and people that's racist.
Like, no, it's not.
Right? Why is it when it's Black, it's a problem? Like, what is that?
Because it's power.
Black.
Because that word is power. And when you put it out there, that power, it's palpable. You can feel it. And so that's why people sometimes have a problem with that. So,
that's why
we have to make changes. It's continuous.
That's why I'm so excited to help. Like when initiatives come up, like the Black is beautiful, but also what Eugenia Brown has done with the initiative to get women their certifications, and now Black and Brew Chicago, she has a scholarship initiative. So it's like I definitely want to see more initiatives and help push them as much as possible to bring us more into the fold.
Sacred Heart, yeah, we're doing a Sacred Heart University initiative here for Black brewers. Black brewers, not BIPOC, Black Brewer Initiative. So check that out. I'll send you some information. So I sit on the committee. We're spearheading it, and it's amazing because we need more people running around the industry that look like us. So yes, initiatives. That's where it's at. That's where it's at.
Yeah, please send me that information. Yeah,
most definitely.
Oh, totally.
Well, you know what, ladies? I don't want to hold you guys, and I just want to say thank you so much for coming on and sharing your perspectives and sharing your paths. And I mean, this was deep. To know that Briana went from IT to law school to brew, like, hey, that's what I'm Look, ain't nothing wrong with that. It's so funny because like you hear about the different paths to people. Like my path is all IT. Like that's my degrees are all in IT and all that. But then I dipped off was a freelance makeup artist for a minute.
Hey, you gotta like,
Hey.
And then I found my way into beer, so it was like, hey, maybe that's the Pisces in me that I'm just gonna jump around a little bit.
No, and you are. Listen, trust me, you are gonna jump around because I'm still teaching salsa lessons with my crazy behind in between brewing beer. Oh yeah, I've
sounds like so much fun
for the. Oh, it is so much fun. That's my therapy. It gives me 20 years. We just celebrated 20 years last year at Alisa's House of Salsa. So I've been teaching professional salsa dancing for 20 years, but I love it. And they won't let me retire. My salsa students will not let me retire. So I still have a lot more dancing to do.
There you go.
So
the Pisces in you is going to do that.
Yes. Okay, so before we wrap up, I'm going to ask you ladies both, outside of your beer, because you can't name your own, what's your favorite beer?
Oh, that is so hard.
That's just so hard. Like
I know. People ask me, I'm
today?
like asking which one is my favorite kid.
Yeah, what's my favorite today?
Okay, fine. What's your favorite
today? I like the Stone Zocaveza, that Mexican chocolate stout.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
That sounds delish.
It is really good.
Delish. I got to get some of that. Yeah, because there's so many incredible beers out there. I mean,
there's so many of them.
We're making some really, really, really good beers. I am actually, I'm digging Treehouse right now. That's located here in the Northeast. They're incredible. So between their Julius and their Green, so Treehouse Brewing, they're they're amazing, and I love their passion and their story and their history, which makes their beer even better. But they are rock stars in the industry up here in the Northeast. So I'm rocking it out with the Julius when I'm not drinking, the other finding my rhythm. So yes, Julius Treehouse.
Nice.
And it's an IPA. It's an IPA, and yes, so very well designed beer. So
Nice.
I can't tell you my favorite one because every time, especially right now, since I haven't been drinking, but I don't know. Right now, beer is just my favorite. Anything beer is just my favorite. Anything with alcohol, I'm sure it's gonna be my favorite since I haven't had it in over a week. But yeah.
oh.
I want to thank you again, you ladies, for joining me, and thank everybody for tuning in to another dynamic chat of This Chick Talks Beer with two amazing ladies, Alisa from Rhythm Brewing and Briana from Space Way. So if you haven't checked out their beers, you most definitely should. So until then, peace out, y'all.
Peace. Cheers.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. That was so much fun.
That was fun. Thank you.
Especially hearing stories about Celeste because
amazing.
I'm such a total fangirl. Like, oh my God, it's Celeste. And
I know. I lost my brain.
The funny part about it, okay, so I have done in my freelance makeup artistry I've done it for like 10 years. I've done celebrities, top like A++ celebrities. I have never fanned out the way I have when it comes to Celeste and Garrett Oliver. It's like I can sit there and do their faces and chat it up with them. But
they're worth it. They are worth it. Yeah.
Like, man, but this is
Totally.
Celeste.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God. My husband was like, you should have seen the two of you. He was like, it was a sight to see. He's like, you guys were like kids in a freaking box.